This is Off Track. Hello and welcome to a Tuesday episode of Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. James is off in the Bahamas, so I'm going to carry this one because
is that where he is?
Yeah, he just decided to go to the Bahamas because
he's going to be there until they figure out his tax situation. So
and the guest we have this wonderful Tuesday is somebody that if you're familiar with IMS and IndyCar and Rick Mears. You do know Deepu Sondhe. So he's one of my closest friends. He's a huge supporter of IndyCar, of IMS, of the city of Indianapolis. And so he took some time out of his very busy day, I'm sure, clearly from the Turn 2 suite at IMS to join us. So Deepu, welcome.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Yeah. Have you, just out of curiosity, have you ever been on Connor's podcast?
I haven't.
So I'm the better friend.
We have the Deepu suite. Yeah.
Let's hope Connor doesn't hear that because I think he's.
I'm gonna send it to him.
Upset. Yeah, I think that's right. You know, he and I played in that pickleball tournament yesterday with Flo, and I'll be honest, we should have gone deeper. We choked under pressure.
Didn't you go home in the first round?
What you're forgetting to talk about is we made it through the group stage.
Right.
Which you don't want to fact check this, but I think everyone did. I thought there was going to be some elimination, but apparently everyone went through.
Okay. So you just made it through practice.
We made it through practice.
Right.
We went 3-1 in practice. We were up 7-1, playing to 11 on serve, and we lost 11-8. So if that lets you know, the wheels literally came off. It was
so. We can talk about your pickle ability later, but I want to go back to the beginning for a young Deepu.
Yeah.
Walk us through how a kid comes to Indianapolis, whose family introduces him to the Indy 500, and you are now several decades removed from that and just as in love with it as the beginning. So walk us through how this whole thing came to be.
So my dad had immigrated to America and was going to school at University of Cincinnati and got 2 job offers out of school. One was here in Indianapolis and one was in Seattle, which later in life became his favorite city in the world that he's ever been to. But he only knew 2 people in America and they both lived in Cincy. So we moved to Indianapolis and we moved exactly a half mile from the track. So I moved here when I was 4 and I ended up going to school, right? I think it's like public school 20. It was like a number. It wasn't even,
there was no name.
No name.
Right.
They tried to hold me back because I couldn't speak English. Apparently you need to have that skill in order to progress.
Okay.
So I ended up, they transferred me. My parents took me over to St. Christopher here in Speedway, where I spent kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. So I'm a Speedway guy. I mean, it just kind of ended up that way. And the very first race I ever went to was in 1979 when my man, the greatest IndyCar driver in Speedway motocross history, won. And that's where the love affair began. So it all really ties back into Rick Mears. The love I have for this track goes back to Rick. He was the greatest. He is the greatest of all time. 4 wins in 3 decades, over 13 years, in what I would argue is the most competitive time of IndyCar history. The 80s were completely lit.
Right. These
guys were on Miami Vice. These guys were doing, McDonald's commercials 2 at a time. And Ricky was the best. He was the GOAT then. And I just felt like this would be a good time to bring him back into the 500. There's only 2 other guys that have won 4. And he did his in 13 years.
Who are those 2 other guys, by the way?
Al Sr. and AJ.
Right.
Yeah.
Some would say that there's 3 other guys that have won 4.
I mean, that's what the corporate media would like you to believe. I am an independent journalist part-time.
Sure.
Launch a YouTube channel on this. But,
right.
In 2002, it was my man, the greatest Canadian of all time, Paul Tracy, who's now converted into a full-on American patriot. So
you're right.
I only recognize the other 2, and so we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so you were introduced to the sport from a very young age. You were going to school around the corner from the Speedway.
Yeah.
Rick won at your first 500. So like I get where the passion came from.
Right.
But now you are, I mean, shoot, we are 40 years removed from 1979, right? And why don't you tell our listeners like where you have, like, where in your mind is the sport going? What do you love to see about what's happening now in the current era of IndyCar? And like, what do you so badly wish was like it was when you first saw it? Like, talk us through your favorite parts and your least favorite parts.
So I would say, as of right now, I think IndyCar has never been in a better spot, at least in the last 10 to 15 years. I think you guys being with Fox, I think the level of talent that you guys have, the amount of money that's coming back into IndyCar, everything's on the upswing. What I would like to see it get back to is kind of the times, and a lot of people are like this too, just the times of their childhood. Like my favorite day, obviously the best day in IndyCar is the Indy 500. You know what the second best day is for me is qualifications.
Agreed.
I mean, it is insane for 4 laps. It's you, the concrete wall, and the asphalt. You're a half inch off the ground with no power steering, going 245 into a corner, and you don't know what's going to happen. And it is electric. And there used to be 100,000 fans out here. So I think for people who choose to come out to the track, I know we have Fast Fridays, you guys have the Carb Day and all those things. Qualifications is absolutely electric. And it doesn't hurt that we have a sweet and turn 2 with everything hooked up here, but that's where I would like to see it go back kind of into that.
Do you feel that the current era of cars, even though we're still, like, last year was the fastest field in Indy 500 history, right? Yes, we're still a bit of ways from Ari's lap record, but it was a different time with different horsepower and different boosts were allowed and all this sort of thing, right? It was the fastest field in Indy 500 history. Do you feel that the wow factor is still missing, though? Does it still come across like it did?
I think it still comes across, man.
Okay.
Look at the last year's race, that Joseph's pass on the last lap. I mean, that's an all-time race. There's still so much electricity. I just think, I think having a new TV partner, I don't want to talk bad about NBC, but I think the way you guys are covering it now, I think it's back. I think having Will Buxton, honestly, that guy's a superstar. Having him being on the call, having James, just the energy level around the 500 is something I haven't seen in decades. And you could see it in ticket sales. You could see it in the,
what about
snake pit that's building down there right now.
Your ears are to the ground in the streets in Indianapolis. Like you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Is there a buzz about the Indy 500?
Absolutely.
Coming back? Are the young people getting into it?
You know what? There is, I've gotten a chance to know a lot of like people that are kind of influenced. Like, I don't know if you know Mantis, but like he's kind of a younger guy who's on, who has his own stuff on YouTube. He's coming out here with a ton of influencers that are going to be out here for the race. Bischoff actually had a golf guy come out who's playing 50 states in 30 days, came here. Any course in Indiana came here to do his shot, and left saying he couldn't believe that there's a Pete Dye course in the middle of the greatest track of all time. I mean, the energy level is there. I feel like
so that's the thing I feel like IndyCar we struggle so much with, and it's not just IndyCar, it's motorsports in general, right? You talk to people that show up at a racetrack, whether it's IMS or not, but let's take IMS for example. They're the wow factor, and they're just blown away by the magnitude of the event, of the scale of the facility, of the speed of the cars, everything, and they're hooked, right? It's the people that see it on TV and passing, they're like, oh, okay, whatever, because it doesn't do it justice. So like we have to still continually, with the marketing efforts and what we're doing from an advertising standpoint, get people through the door, because once that happens, they're fans for life, just like what happened with you.
You know what? But that's not just limited to IndyCar. Like, I think hockey, I think baseball, I think there's a lot of sports that are so great live, but they aren't great on TV, except for football. The football is better on
And
TV.
the NBA playoffs.
And the NBA playoffs, obviously. Although if we have courtside seats, then, I would take notes of that.
Right,
but,
obviously.
which is kind of our hint to
Shout out Mark Miles.
Yeah, come on, Mark. By the way, Pacers are going to close out on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, 4/29, which is our golf outing for James's foundation stop and go. But we're going to beat Cleveland as well, and I think we're going to take Boston to at least Game 7 and see what happens.
Absolutely not, but that's nice.
I have to ask on this. You're doing a golf outing for James's charity,
Yeah,
and he off to the Bahamas instead
That's
of
correct.
going to it.
Well, he'll be back for all the goodness. He's just making Deepu and Steven do all the work.
Is that
So
what the
he'll be back.
construction noises are in the background? You guys getting things
Well,
ready,
no.
or what's?
Well, why don't you walk us through what 429 Invitational is? Walk us through what this golf outing is. Walk us through the whole premise of what we're trying to do tomorrow.
Yeah. So tomorrow we are going to raise money for James's Stop and Go Foundation. It is
Benefiting the American Red Cross blood drives.
That's right. Apparently, and I've talked to many leading medical professions. Blood is essential to human life.
Right.
So,
I mean, it might surprise some.
I've heard that.
It might
I
surprise
know,
some
it's-
people, but it's true.
but we're looking to
Do you want
raise
to
money.
believe what they want you to believe?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, we're just trying to raise money for humanity. Does that make us heroes? Kinda. But we're raising money to get blood drive going, and we picked 429 because 429 is a magical number for Rick Mears fans. He won 4 Indy 500s, 29 kart races, and cumulative laps led at the Indy 500 over the course of his career, 429. So everything points to tomorrow being an incredible day. I would like to say that James, Steven, and I put a lot of this together, but the real credit goes to Bischoff. He has knocked this thing out of the park. We're going to have one of the best golf outings that most people weren't invited to. It was we somehow sold it out in basically a day. So we never really put anything out there, but you're going to come in. There's going to be a couple food trucks to start the day. We have a Red Bull truck with a DJ going in the morning. We have an incredible sponsor for drinks by the name of Alex Rossi, who put in some.
I've been to many events
nice
where he
information.
sponsors the drinks. They're usually just at his
What's that?
house and it's me. But he always provides well.
Yeah, they are. And by the way, we've got 8 pictures of Alex smiling everywhere on these posters. It's we have him as
Listen,
one of Ricky's favorite things.
I smile when it's for a good cause. You know? Yeah,
That's fair.
And
That's right. You don't give away cheap smiles. I walk around with a smile on my face all the time. You got to earn it from Alex.
exactly. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about you've been a fan of Ricky forever.
That's
You
right.
go around in a lot of different social settings explaining the tales and the dominance and the records and the stats of Rick to anyone that will listen.
That's right.
But it wasn't until a couple years ago where you had actually ever spoken to him. Is that
That's
correct?
right. That's right.
So you got, I mean, I would imagine this is like meeting your idol virtually on the phone. Walk us through how that came to be and what that was like.
You know what? It was my birthday probably like 3 years ago, and James and Bish came out, and Bish had grabbed my phone and programmed Ricky's phone number, or sent my phone number to Ricky. At noon, I get a call, and it just comes up, and it's not his name. It's just the goat emoji 4 times. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I answer it, and it's Rick Mears, who I've never spoken to in my life. And he's like, hey, Deepu, this is Rick. You couldn't have found a nicer, more humble guy. He's like, I just really appreciate you being my friend or being my fan and being a fan, not my fan. And just said all the nice things. And then he stopped talking, and I talked for about 6 minutes straight, just professing my love to him. I think I started off talking about how we should have had 5. He was overfueled in 82, which I'm still trying to do the research on how that took place. We never really got an answer on that, but it was absolutely amazing. Like, I don't know if any people get the opportunity to talk to Rick. I know he still comes out to a lot of these races. It is still around, but he's just the best, and he's just the best. And would you talk about like his domination? People don't get it. Like, he won 4 Indy 500s in 13 years. He also won 6 poles. No one has ever won 6 poles. I mean, it's not even in the ballpark. And he stopped where he retired when he was 40. AJ raced till he was 57. Yeah. You know, Al Unser Jr. raced till he was 54. They're great champions. I love them, but there's no one who's been as dominant at one track.
So do you think he had 6 poles and has been able to do that so much better than everyone else because he was the only one that, you know, didn't lift? Or like, how do you think? Well,
I think that was, you know, Bish and I have talked about it, but if you go to the IMS museum and you look at his car, you're going to find it's a little lighter because they never put brakes in it. They didn't need to. He didn't. Right. You know, he just let the car do the work. But he never had brakes. Never. Right. And that's the biggest problem that we see right now. There's a lot of lifting. A lot of lifting,
a lot of brake pedal presses, a lot of scared people.
Right here on the apex of turn 2 is where a guy decides, does he want to go home and see his wife tonight, or does he want to
a chance at a pole?
You guys say it all the time, but in IndyCar at the 500, it's glory or the wall. There's really, and one thing I don't think people get a lot of is there's no shame in hitting the wall. Ricky would say there's a little shame because he never did it except his last race, and then he retired. But like, you guys lay it out. That's what I'm telling you. Like, qualifications is electric because and you can talk more about it, but like, it's not a race setup. It's literally set up for you guys to go into a turn and just test, you know, the amount of testosterone you got in your body.
No, it's not testosterone. It's
Yep. I know this is a family show. I was not gonna.
Well, by I mean you're.
Yep.
Yeah. You got to have them.
Yeah, I mean later in his career, Ricky had to have a wheelbarrow.
Right.
Because that's just, you know, 6 poles, bro. 6. That's a lot. Insane.
6 more than I have.
Even the last race he was here, 92, he started outside of row 1. 11 times up there.
All right. So let's fast forward to 2025. Last question I got for you.
Yeah.
What are your predictions? Just trying to figure out what I'm going to have to bleep from that. I think all of
what
it.
What are your predictions for what are your predictions for pole? What are your predictions for race win? What's your gut telling you? What do you got?
All right. So
let the people know.
For pole, I'm going to say you. You've always run well out here. ECR has always been a monster on pole day. I mean, I think they normally put all 3 cars in the top 9. I think I think this is your year, bro. I mean,
hell yeah.
You're a hell of an oval driver. ECR is a hell of a organization here at Indy. So, you know, and no one else has ever invited me on their podcast. So I'm going to go with.
There you go, man. There you go. Yeah. Good shout. I love it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do to promote IndyCar. Thank you for promoting Rick. And also thank you for all the effort that you're doing for James' charity. It's going to be a great outing tomorrow. Guys, stay tuned for a lot of probably going to be very funny pictures and videos that'll surface on the internet from people trying to play golf well and failing miserably, but all for a good cause. And we will see y'all on Thursday.
This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram, and if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Fim.